What's up, punkheads? AJ Punk 15 here to bring you another Friday Night Fright review. This time it's Rob Zombie's 31. Rob Zombie returns with 31, a film about another gang of misfits and white trash characters, but this time they're extra trashy. Carnage and mayhem ensue, but can RZ, taking his films back to its horror roots like his first two films of House of a Thousand Corpses and The Devil's Rejects, be a step in the right direction? At the start of my review, I'll go through each character and their names and the actress or actors that plays a certain character in the film. If you watched a lot of Rob Zombie's films, you probably know who's in it. Sherry Moon Zombie is obviously in it. And I'm not bashing Rob Zombie for using the same people in each one of his films. I mean, great directors like Christopher Nolan and Quentin Tarantino use a lot of the same actors throughout their films. But in Rob Zombie's case, he sticks to the same core group of people, and if they don't work in one film, why would they work in another? I would go over each actor's name and or the character that they play, but really the only character in this film you need to know about is Doomhead. Doomhead is played by Richard Brake, which is the only character you really need to know about in this film. He has a great opening monologue in this film talking about how everybody loves popcorn in hell. It's very creepy, it's very well shot, and it sets up a very ominous tone for the film to follow. But Rob, for some reason, after this awesome shot of Doomhead introducing us to the film and what we can kind of expect throughout the film, still manages to take us out of the film almost immediately. We have the opening credits that's basically an ending credits, which is actually used again for the ending credits, just different shots. We get introduced to the Island of Misfit Toys, otherwise known as the main centralized characters of this film. We get Jeff Daniel Phillips, my favorite of the group, Sherry Moon Zombie, and a bunch of other people that if you've seen his films, once again, you've seen the rest. There are some newcomers to the film, but they don't really shine out in my opinion. All the protagonists of the film get brought to some kind of factory or facility, and they are forced to play a game called 31, which also takes place on Halloween night. These three Victorian era kind of wannabes basically put bids on each one of their heads, and they get a killer to come in and try to pick them off one by one and ultimately kill them all, and the person who survives last gets the money. Whoever bid on that person, they win all the money. It's a very simple concept that for some reason thought was an amazing idea. It's been done and done and done before. I mean, really, it's basically the Hunger Games or the Running Man when you really want to think about it. Just done for a horror film.
Now hold on a second there, Adam.
Wait, Sean? What are you doing here? Better yet, how are you doing this?
The reason how I got here isn't important. The reason why I'm here is, I see you're reviewing Rob Zombie's 31, and I can't help but interrupt you because Rob Zombie's 31 was easily, without a doubt, the worst piece of shit that I saw last year in the theaters. Everything about it is terrible. I don't want to review it myself. I don't want to put the effort forth because I feel like Zombie doesn't deserve it. So, I thought it much easier to hack into another person's review and share my thoughts really quickly. But don't worry, I won't be too long, and when I'm finished you can have your review back or do whatever you want. You can cut the video for all I care, but the bottom line is, I'm here now, I'm gonna get my point across, damn it.
Dude, you got 1 minute before I take back my video. I don't know how you're doing this, bro.
Rob Zombie's 31. Everything about this movie is awful. The cinematography, terrible. The editing, atrocious. The characters are all annoying, white, trashy, unlikable assholes, much like the rest of Rob Zombie's work. The dialogue is some of the worst I've ever heard. You know the best part about fucking the pregnant woman? Getting a blowjob from the baby on the inside. It's terrible. The movie tries so hard to shock you with how grotesque it can be, with all its gore and violence, and it just comes across as pretty laughable. None of the actors in this movie do a good job, with the exception of the guy who plays Doomhead. Malcolm McDowell and the rest of these weird old people just look ridiculous, and the way that they determine the odds in gambling for the game of 31 itself doesn't make any goddamn sense. Pretty much no redeeming qualities to this movie whatsoever. If you want to see a movie that does a better job of handling this concept, do yourself a favor and go watch The Running Man with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I guarantee you, you'll have a better time at this movie than you will with this piece of shit. Anyways, my time is just about run out. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take it away, Adam.
I honestly have no idea how Sean over at the JT is Reborn channel just managed to hijack my channel to give us thoughts on 31. but I'm hoping that doesn't happen again in this review. One of the best parts about this film is that opening monologue and how it's set up, and the cinematography for that scene is perfect. Why he resorts to going around using shaky cam after that and handhelds, I do not know. Setup shots are kind of cool, but for the most part he uses a lot of shaky cam and quick cuts, and it's horrible. Oh, and let's not forget about the Rob Zombie famous freeze frame. What the fuck was that? Lords of Salem, while may not be a great film, was actually Rob Zombie's best film in my opinion. In terms of quality of actually making a movie, he actually set his shots up. He actually put some effort into this film. Even though it's kind of a lackluster art house film, it worked. It was different. It was a step in the right direction. As I said in the opening of this review, is it a step in the right direction with 31? And I absolutely, wholeheartedly say no. It's a step backwards. In fact, it's 10 steps backwards. This is going back to the roots of The Devil's Rejects and The House of a Thousand Corpses and stripping it of anything that made it good and gave us a slop fest. Fuck's sake, the bonus feature on this Blu-ray shows how badly this movie was set up. It actually boggles my mind that he had to come up with the stunts on the spot because they were running out of time. Now, I know time constraints and stuff interfere with certain scenes and certain shots of a film. When you have to make up things on the fly and resort to using shaky cam and handhelds rather than actually setting a shot up and actually letting us see the death scenes, you haven't got a fucking clue what you're doing. I'm a Rob Zombie fan. I own every single one of his movies. I even own 31 on Blu-ray just to rewatch it for this review because a lot of people have been asking me to do the review for this film. I originally didn't want to because I was going to shit on it, which I am currently doing. Another thing I hated about this film is the score. Not only is it not a great score, and I mean, he's got some great composed scores in the past from Tyler Bates, it actually sounds like it actually took excerpts from films like The Fog and Halloween. Don't get me wrong, I'm a huge fan of Rob Zombie. Some may even call me a Rob Zombie fanboy, but I know a bad film when I see it. And do I regret buying the Blu-ray of 31? Yes. Rob has been known for introducing us to some great characters in the past, especially in House of a Thousand Corpses, The Devil's Rejects, and Heidi from Lords of Salem. In this film we get one, and I mean one, and that is Doomhead. Richard Brake's performance in this is actually pretty great, but then again, it's not saying much because his character has very little to work with to begin with. It's just, hey, go in, curse and swear a bunch, pretend you're beating yourself up, put on some makeup, go around and look very menacing and fog and smoke in a background looking black. I honestly didn't want to do a bad review for this film. I was so much looking forward to this film. I like Rob Zombie films. Even when they're bad like Halloween 2, I'll still go back and watch it over and over. But this film, I honestly can't see myself watching anytime soon. F. Daniel Phillips, the Geico Caveman as I like to remember him by, I like him in a lot of different films he's been in, and especially in this film. I actually do like his character, but not because of the way Rob wrote his character. It's just the way that Jeff actually portrays his character. I'm a huge fan of his, and I think he should be getting a lot better work than sticking to these indie or low budget films. The Victorian era people in this film, these three people that bid on people who started the 31 game to begin with, which include Malcolm McDowell, once again another person in a Rob Zombie film he's used before. Pointless. These characters are so fucking stupid. They have no background. We don't get any information on what the fuck they're doing there. They're just there in the film. I mean, I could sit down and talk about this film for another maybe 5 minutes before I actually get really frustrated at the fact that this film got made and it was backed by people who are fans of Rob Zombie. People who put their cash into this film, hard-earned cash, to make Rob Zombie a movie, get this pile of garbage. 31 is not a good film at all. I know fanboys, I know I'm a fanboy. I know fanboys are actually going to rip me a new one in the comment section for saying that 31 isn't a good film. In fact, 31 is pure dog shit. The score, horrible, kind of ripped off a few films. Cinematography, crappy, really shaky cam, and really bad quick cuts that don't let us see what the action's going on. I mean, people make fun of Attack of the Clones for the lightsaber fight between Anakin and Count Dooku, how Count Dooku's old. Christopher Lee is actually pretty old and he can't actually keep up with the fight, the lightsaber, so they just zoom in on his head while he's swinging a lightsaber over his head. They do the exact same thing in this with the chainsaw duel. I mean, two people just just chainsawing over his head. Tobe Hooper's Texas Chainsaw Massacre managed to do this, and way, way better. I expected a lot more from this film from Rob. This is his 6th film now, I believe? This is his 6th film now, not including the cartoon, which is actually pretty funny. And I expected more from him. I expected something a little bit better quality from him. I know before he started making this film, or trying to get it made, he wanted to do a film about the Broad Street Bullies, the Philadelphia Flyers, a hockey movie, which seemed like was going to get made, and all of a sudden it just fell through a hole, through a crack, and then within months Rob had the script wrote for this, and he had this big campaign like, let's do 31. Either he had this in his back pocket all along, or he just came up with it because out of spite to get something made that he say, hey, look, I just made a movie for my fans. But this film isn't even for his fans. This is for people who can sit down and view a film and just shut their brain off. I know a few of my friends on social media really enjoy 31. And I'm not saying you're mindless, self-indulged Rob Zombie fans. I'm just saying, if you really think about it, and take the fact that it's not a Rob Zombie movie, just say it's not a Rob Zombie movie, and just really look at the core of this film, it's not very good at all. In fact, it is below good. It is pure garbage. The opening monologue of this film says everybody loves popcorn in hell. That may be true, but while they're eating that popcorn, they will not be watching Rob Zombie's 31. That is just too much hell for hell. I'm going to give Rob Zombie's 31 a big fat 2 out of 10. Other than Doomsday and the gore effects of this film, which were very, very minimal, and the fact that I'm a huge Jeff Daniel Phillips fan and his character actually is kind of likable in this film, which is another thing that he doesn't do in this, is give us likable characters to root for in this event, which is horrible, and Rob should know better, seeing he is a horror director. There's nothing about this film that's worth going back to rewatch. There's nothing about this film to get excited about. This film is garbage, and it is the worst Rob Zombie film made to date, and that is saying something because he made Halloween 2. I'm really sorry that I ripped this a new one, and I'm really sorry that your opinion might be different to mine, but I honestly think Rob Zombie's 31 is complete shit. And that's all I had to say about that. Really hope you enjoyed my review. Even if you didn't, leave a like, comment, subscribe, do all that great stuff that you know you want to do. I know it. You're right there. So click that bell if you want to. I know some subscribers maybe not getting me with videos. Click that bell next to the subscribe button. For some reason YouTube was like, hey, not only do you have to subscribe now to see your favorite channels, but hit that bell because that's a second notification. Anyway guys, as always, take care and stay frosty.